Hello and welcome back to the next part of this build. So this part concerns the building construction of the staircase here in the middle of the cellar. Now to size it up, what I have done, using those little white tiles, which are approximately 12 inches by 12 inches in real life, I use a 4x4 here and here to indicate to me the area that I want clear, because the landing up here on the first floor going down will be approximately 4x4, and I want at least a 4x4 piece of area of landing once you come down the bottom of the stairs. Now the opening just happens to work out to be about the width of one of these panel walls, and just have there as a demonstration. So eventually I'm going to have this wall coming across here. There'll be an opening here at the bottom of the stairs. Same thing over here for the window. I've also marked here on the ground here the markations for the wall locations. So there'll be a wall here, and there'll be the wall over there. Now to figure out the size and the angle and so forth of the stairs, I measured here. So that's about approximately 82 millimeters, and then the height is the 60 millimeters of this panel, plus approximately 7 millimeters for the floor depth once I construct the floor for the first floor. So that's 67 millimeters total. And these are the measurements that you see here that I've written down. So those are the measurements that I came up with. Now from there, using a ruler, kind of sketched it out to real size, and I got that little sketch there of the side profile of the stairs. And then on the computer, I went ahead and just laid it out so that I have a nice, good, accurate measurement of that. Now I printed this twice, as you see here. I cut it out, and on using these little squares of balsa wood, these are I believe 2 millimeters thick balsa wood that I picked up quite some time ago. I placed the cutout, which you see here. We can get it here in the camera. So I'm taping this to the balsa wood, and I'm going to use that as a template to cut out the runners. I mean the stairs for the two sides. Okay, so I'm going to do that off camera. So I'm just going to use a straight edge and an X-Acto knife to easily cut this out from here. So I'll be back after that. Hello and welcome back, and here we are. Cut out the stringers. I forget exactly what this part of the stairs is called. So I cut them up for the left and right. I have a little block here of foam core boards. I just cut up to use those little kind of a pin cushion. So what I've done here, for the one here, I lined it up and pinned it so it's straight. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one, and use that so I can lay down the runners across. Now for the runners, I'm just going to use part of the spare balsa wood. I measured out, so my runners will be that wide. I'll cut it off, and I'll cut off each one. Now, see here, just did a little quick template here, jigged, just a couple of spare pieces of wood, taped them down, measured it, and basically after I cut this off, I'm just going to put up against here, measure, cut, using a straight angle against that, and then I'll cut each one of my runners so they're all more or less the same size, the same length and width, and then apply them to the stairs. Right, so I'll be back with that. Hello everyone, welcome back. Alright, so I started gluing on the treads here. So I did every other one, give it some strength, and then I'm going to go in and fill in the rest of the threads. So these are the extra threads here. So these are glued in, just to give you a little preview here how this will look. Now since these are the basement stairs, I'm only going to put the thread, I'm not going to put the riser in. So you'll have a little bit of a see-through here as you look through the basement. Alright, so I'll be back after I've glued all this together. Hello and welcome back, and here I am with the finished little staircase here for the cellar. Have all the rungs put in. I did not put in the very top rung, reason being that once I put this in place, it leaves me some room for adjustment as necessary. But otherwise it is complete. Being balsa, weighs nothing. It's somewhat sturdy with the rungs there, so now I can place this off to the side. Now once I put this in place like that, you're going to have that space underneath the staircase here. So I'm going to need some type of support for that landing. For that, I don't have balsa wood in the right dimensions, but I do have some basswood. Basswood is similar to balsa, but it's much denser, much harder wood. Unlike a balsa, which you can easily cut with an X-Acto knife, for basswood, you would need some type of saw, and I'll show you what I'm using. So specifically, what I'm going to be using is this focus 3/16" square basswood strips that you see here, and this is what the wood looks like. So it's very much sturdier than your balsa wood, as you can see here as I'm trying to flex it. So how I cut this is using a little miter box. Let me put this aside. So I have this little red miter box from the Zona, so you can do 90 degrees, I believe 30 and 45 degree. This is the saw that comes with it, and I already cut the pieces. Very easy to use. I'll put a link to this in the description below. And I cut up my pieces that I'm going to use for that landing support. So I have my posts, and then I have my cross beams for the top. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is just construct a little box for this. So basically it's going to be, let me show you here. I'm going to glue and attach this so that we have something along that line, or something along this line for that landing. So basically what I'm going to do, same thing as before. I'm going to use some pins to hold this in place, like I did with the stairs, like that. Glue it while it glues in place, and assemble that. All right, so I'll be back with that finished. Hello, just to quickly show you how I'm framing these, just to keep them straight and square. See, using our favorite Legos here to get my right angle, using pins to keep everything in place, and to make sure that this, since I don't have any support at the bottom, that this is the same here and there, to make sure it's all square as well. I use a pair of calipers, measure the top, lock it, and transfer that measurement at the bottom. They're both the same, so I know that this is square and these are parallel to one another, so I should be fine in that. Let it dry and do the other one, and put it assembled. Be back. Hello and welcome back, and here I am with the finished, almost finished, at least constructed stairs, and the supporting platform landing there behind the stairs. As mentioned before, I left out the top rung just so I have some wiggle room once I fit it out to the first floor landing itself. So now the next step is to put a little wash on it to darken up, color up the wood a little bit. So basically I'm using these basic colors from Liquitex, dark brown and a black, with a lot of water. These are very thin consistency of paint, acrylic paint. And here I am, I did a little test brushing here earlier, let it dry, different consistencies, so a light or a dark. I also did the same thing with the supporting wood, which is the basswood. Again, gives a little color to the wood there. So basically that's what I'm going to do now. So I already mixed this up, shaked it, and I keep in these little plastic containers with a nice tight seal lid so I don't spill anything. And I'm just going to take a brush, wipe up most of it so I don't want it to be too wet and warp the wood. And then I'm just going to brush it. First I'm going to test it out here on the underneath, where I can, in case I put too much on it, I can wipe it off and not, you won't see my mistakes. Anyway, so basically that's it. And then let it dry. So I'm going to go ahead and continue, do that for all this, and I'll be back once it's dry. All right, thank you. Hello and welcome back, and here we are after applying the wash to the wood. So see, it gives a little bit of a brown gray, dark gray, that kind of wood gray tones to it. So I'm just going to let this fully dry, and now if I come back, might touch up some spots or do a little dry brushing on it, or add some weathering to it, weathering powders to give it a little bit different tonalities throughout. So the next up from here, just turn this around, is going to be working on those divided walls there in the cellar. So for the divider walls, what I am using is one full wall panel, one of the larger tiers, and one of the smaller tiers that I showed you before, the ones that I used for the same pieces that I used for the fireplace earlier. So I made up 2 walls of those pieces, and that will be joined in by one of the smaller pieces, skinnier pieces. So that's going to tie it together. It'll be all glued together, and I'll have my wall. Now you notice that I did some of this in white. I'm going to do the same thing I did with the fireplace. I'm just going to use the pigment over the white to give it the coloring. Let it dry, put the varnish on it, and do the same type of mortaring with the mortar joints. So I'll be back and show you that. Hello and welcome back. Alright, so here is the finished wall. One of them anyway. So see I have all the grout on. Now after I finish the wall, the grout, instead of using the spackle and color to fill it in, I was going through my drawers and I found this other product from Liquitex. It's ceramic stucco. It's a texture gel. Give it a little bit of a texture appearance to materials. And I use this for the grouting. And here, let me just open it up, show you what it looks like. There, you can see there inside. So it's a paste. So that's what I use for grouting this time. It's like a light gray color, so it kind of worked perfectly for the grouting. And all I did is I just took some of that, took my little spatula thing here, and just applied it and scraped it off. And then took a paper towel and wiped the rest of it off to give that appearance. You can also see that the red is a little bit motley. Did that on purpose when I applied the pigment over it, just to give a bit of a random appearance. Now the one thing is that this is 2 walls together. There's a big gap in the middle, which I really didn't care for. So what I did, show you on the other piece here, I sealed it up. And all that is, I just took a piece of paper towels, strip of it, roll it up, stuff it in about a 1/4 inch away, and then the rest of it are just spackled over, and then painted over with the same pigment as I did the bricks. So it looks like it's just one solid. Gives it more of an appearance of a solid wall. Okay, and I did the same thing with the fireplace from last week. Additionally, I also applied some of that black brown wash to the fire pit area. Get a little bit more of a fireplace look. Alright, so next step is to, plug this up, fill this up here, and then show you how I'm attaching it to the cellar. Right, I'll be back. Hello and welcome back. Alright, so everything has dried up and I'm about to put in the first wall. I'm going to do this in section for this update. I am going to place the wall separating the storage room. For the next update, I'll work on the kitchen and the middle stairs area as well as the back area here. So here's the completed wall. I'll show you in the last clip. So this, as you see, I have some lines here as the guides, approximately where I'm going to place the wall. Now to make sure I'm consistent in my placement, the way that I had planned this out was that this is going to be at the edge of the 2 sections of wall. So just using these 2 extra sections here, I'm just going to place them here, make sure I'm in the right spot. So this lines up exactly with the walls, which is already there in the ground floor. So that gives me that section, that area. I'll put that off to the side. Then using a right angle ruler, I'll place this here using the wall that I have there, and make sure that this is at 90 degrees, which it is right now. So using that as a mark, I'm going to make a mark on the floor again. Now that I have the actual wall, I'm just going to mark off this corner so I have a reference point. And then I'm going to apply the glue to glue this in place. And then I'll measure again after putting the glue, but at least it gives me a little starting point mark there. Now for the glue I'm going to use to adhere this there, I'm using Gorilla Glue wood glue, which is actually the same glue I used to glue the pink foam board to the board underneath. Just open this up. Oops, excuse me, a little stuck. There you go. So I'm just going to put this off to the side. I'm just going to run a little small bead. Now if you want to be more careful, you can do this using a little bit of a brush or other implement if you don't want to squeeze it straight from the bottle. And you don't need a lot, so you don't want this necessarily oozing out from there. And I'm going to put a little bit up, you can't see it in the camera, but I'm also putting just a little bit here along the corresponding wall as well. Alright, so once again, I'm going to place this here in the mark that I have. Now this glue does take a little while to set up, so while that's setting up, once again, I'm just going to take another measurement again. You know the old adage, measure twice, cut once. So here we want to make sure we're measured correctly. Make sure this is in the correct spot. Move this correctly there. Alright. Make sure that's in the correct spot there. Put that aside. And again, right ruler. Make sure this is at the right angle to the wall. And this is another reason why I'm using these as the filler in the middle of the wall as opposed to just using the stone bricks. It gives me a nice good straight edge. So that's that. Then using another one. This is another right angle. I think I've used this before. Make sure that this is perfectly vertical as such. Alright, so I'll leave this here as support, and I'm going to let that dry for a few hours, and I'll come back. Hello and welcome back. It's been about 2.5, 3 hours since the last clip that you saw. The glue has time to set, so not to worry about this knocking this down, although I will let the glue cure overnight, a good 24 hours or so. Make sure there's no problems with it. Over here, picking out, you can see a little bit brickwork, and what that is this. This is the companion for the other one to form the other edge of the opening. Here will be the door, and what this is just two of the skinny brick sections here glued together, and once it's dried I clipped off the edges, sanded it neat, and then did the same process as the rest of the bricks, being the pigment, the varnish, and then the grouting. Alright, now you also see that the flooring there, the tiling, these are not glued in place. This is just me testing out to see what would be a good layout. And what these tiles are is another diorama molds, specifically is this one, paving slabs, 600 millimeters by 450 millimeters, and that is 135, the low 63. That's the number. Okay, and what the mold looks like is this. Now I already casted these, and I just put these here to show you. I casted these in various different colors and shades, different amounts of pigments, and etc. to give me all these. And it's a very simple mold, so I'm not going to bore you by pouring it and so forth. So it's just like the other tiles. Pour it, let it set a little bit, scrape it off, and let it dry completely. They're thin, so they dry pretty quickly, and they demold very, very easily, like that. Oops. And I casted a whole bunch of these, as you see here in this cup, and I'm going to lay out the floor. So what I was doing here, I was testing out different layout patterns, whether to go the long way across or go the long way of the tiles this way, and to see how they fit in the space. So I think I'm going to go the long way this way, in the same long way as the overall floor plan of the building. Alright, let's see what else you need to know. Yes, about this tile. So if you see, there's two different sizes. There's the large one, and this is half of this. So you can do a staggered pattern as you see there in my sample. Anyway, so next up, I'm just going to go ahead and glue the flooring for this section, and I'll be back with that. Alright, so welcome back. Alright, so here's the update on the floor for the storage area. As you see, a little patchwork there of different colored tiles. I'll blend it all in once I put in the router, the motor, and the pigments and weathering and so forth, just like I did with the walls. See there, the wall in place along with the other part of the wall here where the door jamb will be. You see I've extended the floor here into the staircase area here. The floor will go across the entire cellar here. Now the pattern that I'm using here, it worked out to be that there was a gap here, which was exactly 1/2 tile, so I didn't have to cut those, although the pattern doesn't quite match the rest of the tiles there, but I think that is fine. I did have to cut one little tile here to account for the door jamb, and one other little tile here in the corner. Now there is like a 2mm gap over here, but that's going to be filled up with mortar and blend into the wall, so I'm okay with that. So I think this is going to end this update. I will pick up on the next update with the other half of the cellar, primarily being the center area here and the kitchen. Alright, thank you all for watching. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the questions and the comments. Alright, take care everyone.